Yo, what is up, my friends? Welcome back into the podcast. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. Guys, today I'm going to be giving you my buy low trade targets, and it's really good right now because the market is hot. There's a lot of players that underperformed this past week or the past couple of weeks, but there's still going to be really good season-long ads, so it's a good time to buy low on these players and add a stud player to your roster. And I am going to get right into it, guys, but if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. And if you do enjoy my content today, make sure to give me a thumbs up, as likes help my channel tremendously. All right, guys, I'm going to get right into my number one, and that is DAndre Swift. Guys, DAndre Swift underperformed massively this past week. He only had like 30 yards from scrimmage. The Lions got absolutely blown out. This is a big reason for this. Guys, he still had volume, though. He still had 12-plus carries. He still saw 5 targets out of the backfield. This dude has not had a game this year where he's seen less than 5 targets. This dude has immense target share, and he is the focal point of the offense. So even though the offense isn't that good, his touchdown upside is still there because he's being used heavily and used heavily in the red zone. This dude is challenging Austin Eckler for being one of the biggest volume hog dual threat running backs in all of fantasy football. So due to his volume and talent, this dude is a very good player to scoop up for your team. He probably had what's going to be his worst game of the entire season, so it's a perfect time to buy low on DAndre Swift. All right, guys, next on my list is going to be A.J. Dillon. Guys, A.J. Dillon is about to be a fantasy monster, and if you don't scoop him now, you're going to be missing out. And I'm serious about this, guys. This dude just out-carried Aaron Jones this past week. I mean, in a very pivotal game against the Cardinals, he out-carried Aaron Jones. Obviously, Aaron Jones is still better for fantasy purposes overall because he gets more red zone usage and he sees more passes out of the backfield. But the fact that a backup running back, A.J. Dillon, is just coming in and pretty much splitting carries with Aaron Jones now, as we've seen over the past 2 or 3 weeks. Guys, this dude has massive upside because he's got the talent and he's in the great offense to go along with his newfound volume. So his weekly upside is pretty darn good. And he's only scored 1 touchdown this year, but I think his touchdown numbers are going to go up now that he's touching the ball more. So this dude's going to be a fantasy stud, but the past 2 weeks he really didn't do that great. Despite getting really good volume this past week, his fantasy numbers were still pretty average. And he didn't catch any passes, so for PPR formats, some players still might not think that he's very valuable. I'm telling you right now, this dude is very valuable for fantasy football, so get your hands on him while you have the chance. Next on my list is going to be Leonard Fournette. Guys, Leonard Fournette is the product of a Tampa Bay offense, and he is the clear-cut number 1 running back on his team now. No competition from Ronald Jones. Leonard Fournette is the man and was a very high-scoring offense. It's usually playing with the lead. This past week, they were in a much tougher game, and the fact that they were playing from behind, in the game makes it to where Leonard Fournette wasn't getting as many carries, but he still saw a healthy target share as far as passes out of the backfield, and so he's become a very good dual-threat back on a very good football team, so he has massive touchdown upside from week to week. Guys, buy low on Leonard Fournette while you have the chance. Next on my list is going to be Kareem Hunt. Okay, guys, Kareem Hunt is a stash for the fantasy playoffs. So if you have a winning record and you think you have a really good chance to make the playoffs, then stash Kareem Hunt. If you're 4-4 or worse and you need wins immediately, I would not stash Kareem Hunt because we don't know when he's going to be back. Okay, so you need to focus on getting players that are going to help you win immediately next week and, each coming week going forward. But if you think you're going to cruise your way into the fantasy playoffs and you're looking for long-term stashes for your bench for the fantasy playoffs and championship, you can buy low on Kareem Hunt right now. You probably don't have to give up that much to get him, and what you're getting in return is a player that could potentially win you your league. So buy low on Kareem Hunt if you are in that situation, and now is the perfect time to do it. So buy low on Kareem Hunt while you have the chance. Next on my list, guys, going on to the receivers, is going to be Stefon Diggs. Guys, Stefon Diggs is still the number 1 red zone target in all of fantasy football. This includes running backs, tight ends, anybody that catches passes. This dude is targeted more heavily in the red zone than any player in the NFL. So the fact that he only has 3 touchdowns on the year playing for this offense is an absolute fluke. The touchdown numbers are going to regress in a positive direction, as we've seen over the past 2 weeks. He's gotten in the end zone 2 weeks in a row. This is a very good sign. It's a sign of things to come, and this dude's going to be a fantasy monster. He's definitely going to be the player that you drafted him to be. Don't worry about him. If you don't have him on your team, you need to buy low on Stefon Diggs while you have the chance. All right, guys, next on my list is going to be Justin Jefferson. Just put up a total dud of a week. Got totally shut down by Trevon Diggs. Guys, Trevon Diggs has emerged as one of the best cornerbacks in the entire NFL. He's pretty much locked down any wide receiver that's been lined up against him every single week this year. So don't make too much of it. Justin Jefferson is still going to be a monster for fantasy football in most weeks. His touchdown upside is there because he plays in the offense that scores a lot of points, and he's a candidate every week to get double-digit targets at 100-plus yards. So this guy's a fantasy stud. Take advantage of the fact that he just had a bad week and buy low on Justin Jefferson while you have the chance, guys. Next on my list is going to be Emmanuel Sanders, guys. Emmanuel Sanders is never going to command the target share that Stefon Diggs does, but he is the product of a very good Buffalo Bills offense. He scored 4 touchdowns this year, so we know this dude could get in the end zone. And he's has 4 touchdowns on 2 multiple touchdown games. This is a very good sign. It means that he has tremendous weekly upside. And look, this is a 4.4 talented, 4.4 40-time talented wide receiver with game-breaking upside. I mean, this dude is the kind of receiver that could give you a huge play on any given week and produce a monster fantasy performance. So the upside is there, the talent's there. He's on a great offense. He just produced a goose egg. Don't make much of it, guys. This dude's going to be great for fantasy going forward, so buy low on Emmanuel Sanders while you have the chance, guys. Next on my list is going to be Mike Williams. Okay, guys, 2 weeks in a row, Mike Williams has put up a complete dud. There are players that are overly reactionary to this. They've seen that he's been bad in the past 2 weeks, and they automatically assume that his awesome fantasy production early in the season was just a fluke. This is not the case, guys. He has one of the best quarterbacks in football in Justin Herbert throwing him the ball. The Chargers offense, even though they've come down to earth in the past 2 or 3 weeks, they're still going to be very, very good from a season-long standpoint, guys. This is just part of football season. There are ebbs and flows to a football season, and there are times where a team just goes through kind of an uncharacteristically bad stretch. This is how you take advantage of the trade market, okay? Mike Williams has had 2 bad games in a row. His fantasy stock is lower than it's going to be at any point. So buy low on Mike Williams while you have the chance, guys. It's very simple. This dude's going to be a beast. All right, last on my list is going to be Julio Jones, guys. Julio Jones is quite possibly the best value in the entire trade market right now. And I know that sounds crazy because you haven't seen much from him this year. But look, I had Julio Jones in my buy lows last week because I'm telling you right now, this dude has league-winning upside if he stays healthy for you. And now Derrick Henry's hurt. So he has even more upside. So this dude has massive league-winning upside if he's able to stay healthy and on the field. And you can buy low on him right now because he's been injured the past 3 weeks. Even before that, his performances were a little bit disappointing. But I'm telling you that this guy, first of all, it's Julio Jones, right? He's one of the most talented receivers in the NFL. And now he's on a team that's going to have to take a complete 180-degree turnaround from being a run-first team to being a pass-first team because Derrick Henry might be out for the season. So A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are going to eat going forward. Julio Jones is a great buy low right now. You don't have to give up much to get him, and he could win you a fantasy championship. Understand that there's a little bit of a risk involved when you pick him up because there is always a chance that he gets re-injured, but you're not buying him for a safe floor. You're not buying him to be your guaranteed wide receiver going forward. You're buying him for his massive upside potential, knowing that there's a little bit of a risk involved. And considering how good the upside is, he is very much worth the risk, especially considering the fact that you probably don't have to give up that much to get him right now. So go after Julio Jones in the trade market, guys. He could be a league winner. All right, guys, those are my buy low trade targets for the week. Make sure to scoop these guys for your roster if you have the chance. I do appreciate you guys tuning into today's video, and you guys have a good day.